Most people think attraction is something loud, something obvious, something you can see in a smile, a look, or a few sweet words. But real attraction doesn't start there. It starts much earlier, in places most people never notice. It starts in silence, in energy, in the small emotional signals that are felt before anything is ever understood. And here's the truth that often surprises people. A woman doesn't first fall for what a man says. She first reacts to how she feels around him, safe or unsure, relaxed or tense, seen or ignored, interested or just entertained. And these feelings happen in seconds, not days. Now think about this for a moment. How many men are trying to impress, trying to prove, trying to be enough without realizing that attraction isn't built through pressure, but through presence? And how many women have experienced the opposite? Someone who didn't try too hard, didn't speak too much, didn't perform, but somehow felt different in a way that's hard to explain. That difference is not magic. It's psychology. It's emotional awareness. It's the way energy communicates before words ever arrive. Today, we are going to break down something very real, very human, and very often misunderstood. The hidden psychological patterns that shape how women feel attraction, trust, and emotional connection. Not myths, not games. Just deeper truths about human behavior that most people overlook. And as we go through these points, you may start to notice something interesting. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about understanding what's already happening in every interaction, whether people realize it or not. Before a single sentence is fully understood, something else has already spoken louder than words ever can. It's energy, not in a mystical way, but in a very human one. The way someone walks into a space, the way they hold eye contact, the way they breathe, pause, react, and carry themselves. These things are being read instantly. And the interesting part is, most of it happens below awareness. People don't think about it. They just feel it. A man might believe he is coming across confident because he is speaking clearly, smiling, or saying the right things. But confidence is not just in the voice. It's in the absence of pressure. It's whether he feels like he needs something from the other person to feel okay inside. Because the moment there is neediness hidden behind words, it changes the entire emotional signal. Even if the words are perfect, the energy feels unsettled. And that unsettled feeling is what people respond to first. Now contrast that with a man who is calm within himself. He is not rushing to prove anything. He is not over-explaining. He is not trying to fill every silence. He is simply present. When he speaks, it comes from a grounded place, not a nervous one. When he listens, he actually listens instead of waiting to respond. When there is silence, he is not afraid of it. And this creates something very powerful: emotional ease. For women especially, this difference is often instantly noticeable, even if they cannot explain it in words. One interaction feels slightly tense, slightly forced, slightly performed. The other feels natural, relaxed, almost safe. And safety is not just physical, it is emotional. It is the feeling that you don't have to guard yourself, overthink, or decode hidden intentions. This is where many men misunderstand attraction. They think it is created through intensity, more effort, more attention, more words, more charm. But emotional attraction doesn't grow from intensity alone. It grows from stability, from a kind of inner calm that says, I am okay as I am, and I don't need to chase approval to prove it. And here's something important. This is not about pretending. It cannot be faked for long. People are surprisingly good at sensing when energy and behavior don't match. That's why confidence that is only performed eventually feels hollow, while real confidence feels consistent even in silence. So when we say women feel energy before words, what we really mean is this. They are responding to emotional truth before logical content. They are sensing whether a man is grounded or scattered, secure or seeking, present or performing. And that first impression, quiet, invisible, and immediate, often shapes everything that follows far more than any perfectly chosen sentence ever will. One of the biggest misunderstandings in attraction is the idea that effort alone creates emotional connection. Many people believe that the more attention you give, the more interest you show, the more you chase, the stronger the bond becomes. But human emotions don't work like that. Attention can be easy to find. Understanding is rare. And that difference changes everything, because at a deeper level, people don't just want to be noticed, they want to be understood. There is a big gap between someone looking at you and someone actually seeing you. Looking is surface level. It's noticing appearance, words, behavior, but seeing goes deeper. It means noticing emotion, patterns, silence, energy shifts, and unspoken feelings. And when someone feels truly seen, something inside them relaxes in a way that attention alone can never create. For women especially, this difference becomes very clear in relationships and interactions. Compliments are common, messages are easy, interest is everywhere, but real emotional presence is rare. A man can give attention all day long, but if he doesn't actually understand who she is underneath everything, her thoughts, her contradictions, her quiet moments, her emotional layers, then the attention starts to feel empty. Not because it is fake, but because it is shallow. On the other hand, even small moments of real understanding can feel incredibly powerful. When someone notices not just how she smiles, but why the smile is different today. When someone senses not just what she says, but what she is trying not to say. When someone responds not just to words, but to emotions underneath the words, that creates emotional depth. And depth creates connection. This is why chasing behavior often fails emotionally, even when it gets attention, because chasing focuses on proving interest, not understanding the person. It says, I want you to notice me instead of I notice you. And those two energies feel completely different on the receiving side. One creates pressure, the other creates comfort. Feeling seen also means feeling emotionally safe in your presence. It means not needing to exaggerate feelings or hide discomfort. It means being able to just be without performing a version of yourself. And that kind of space is rare. Most people are used to being half seen, liked for their appearance, their humor, their role, but not deeply understood as a full emotional person. And this is where real attraction quietly grows, not from constant effort, but from moments of recognition. When someone says something simple but meaningful like, I noticed you were a bit quieter today, is everything okay? It can carry more emotional weight than hours of attention or dozens of compliments, because it touches something deeper, the feeling of being emotionally acknowledged. So the truth is, simple but powerful. People don't fall for how much you chase them. They feel drawn to how deeply you understand them. And when someone feels seen in a world where most people are only looked at, that experience becomes unforgettable. If there is one thing people underestimate in attraction, it is emotional safety, not excitement, not intensity, not dramatic moments, but that quiet feeling of being emotionally safe with someone. It sounds simple, but it carries a huge weight in how connection actually forms between two people. Emotional safety means you don't feel judged for being yourself. You don't feel confused about where you stand. You don't feel like you are constantly walking on emotional eggshells. Instead, you feel steady. You feel clear. You feel like the other person is consistent, not perfect, but predictable in a healthy way. And that consistency is what allows real emotional closeness to grow. A lot of people think attraction comes from unpredictability, mixed signals, hot and cold behavior, emotional distance followed by sudden closeness. At first, that can create curiosity, even obsession in some cases. But curiosity is not the same as connection. Curiosity keeps the mind busy. Safety allows the heart to relax. And only when the heart relaxes does deeper attachment begin to form. For women especially, emotional safety plays a huge role in how attraction develops over time. It's not just about how exciting a man feels in the beginning, it's about how emotionally stable he feels when things become real, when conversations become deeper, when expectations become clearer, when emotions are no longer just surface level. A man who is emotionally safe is not someone who hides emotions or avoids vulnerability. It's someone who is emotionally steady. He doesn't react unpredictably. He doesn't turn small misunderstandings into emotional chaos. He doesn't create confusion through inconsistent behavior. Instead, he communicates clearly, responds calmly, and stays grounded even when things are not perfect. And this kind of energy creates trust. Not forced trust, but natural trust, because the nervous system of the other person starts to relax around him. There's no constant tension of what will happen next or what does this mean. Instead, there is clarity, and clarity is deeply attractive in a world full of confusion. Now, here's something important. Emotional safety doesn't kill attraction, it builds it. There is a myth that calmness is boring and unpredictability is exciting. But in real human connection, it's often the opposite in the long run. Chaos may feel intense, but it drains emotional energy. Safety may feel quieter, but it builds something stronger and more lasting. When someone feels emotionally safe, they start to open up naturally. They share more, they relax more. They stop performing and start being real. And that is where deeper attraction lives. Not in the performance, but in the authenticity that comes after the performance disappears. And for men who misunderstand this, they often try to create attraction by being unpredictable or emotionally distant. But what they don't realize is that emotional distance doesn't always create desire. Sometimes it creates uncertainty. And uncertainty over time pushes people away instead of pulling them closer. So the deeper truth is this: emotional safety is not about being soft or weak. It is about being steady. It is about creating a space where someone feels safe enough to be themselves without fear. And when that kind of environment exists, attraction doesn't need to be forced. It starts to grow naturally, quietly, and deeply over time. Mystery has always been talked about as something attractive, and in a way it is. When someone doesn't reveal everything at once, when there is a little space to wonder, a little curiosity left unsolved, the mind naturally leans in. But here's where most people get it wrong. Mystery alone doesn't create lasting attraction. It only creates attention for a moment. What keeps someone emotionally invested is not mystery, it is depth. Mystery is like the first spark. It catches interest. It makes someone think, there's something about this person I don't fully understand. But if that something never becomes anything meaningful, curiosity fades. Because human beings are not satisfied by confusion forever. The mind might enjoy guessing for a while, but the heart eventually looks for substance. It looks for something real to hold on to. Depth, on the other hand, is what gives meaning to connection. Depth is not about being complicated or hard to read. It is about having layers that actually exist. It is emotional intelligence. It is self-awareness. It is having thoughts, values, passions, experiences, and honesty that go beyond surface-level interaction. When someone has depth, every conversation feels like there is more underneath what is being said. For example, a man can be quiet and mysterious, but if there is nothing behind that silence, no clarity, no direction, no emotional presence, then it eventually feels empty. But a man who is expressive about his purpose, honest about his thoughts, thoughtful in how he speaks, and present in how he listens, that is not just mystery. That is depth. And depth creates emotional pull that doesn't fade quickly. Women especially often respond strongly to depth because it feels rare. In many interactions, people stay on the surface. Small talk, jokes, casual attention, simple compliments. But depth feels different. It feels like someone is actually present with you, not just passing time. It feels like there is something real happening underneath the conversation, something meaningful that cannot be reduced to words alone. And here is the important difference. Mystery makes someone curious about you, but depth makes someone emotionally connected to you. Curiosity asks, what is this person like? Depth creates the feeling of, I want to know this person more, because there is something real here. This is why people who only rely on being hard to get often struggle with long-term connection, because distance without depth becomes emptiness. Silence without substance becomes confusion, and unpredictability without meaning becomes emotional exhaustion. But when depth is present, even simple moments feel rich. A normal conversation can feel meaningful. A quiet moment can feel comfortable. Even disagreement can feel safe because there is trust in the foundation of the connection. That is the difference depth makes. It transforms ordinary interaction into something emotionally alive. So the real takeaway is this: don't confuse being mysterious with being meaningful. Mystery might open the door, but depth is what keeps someone inside. And in real human connection, it is depth, not illusion, that creates lasting attraction, respect, and emotional attachment over time. If you strip away everything people usually associate with attraction, looks, status, money, clever words, even confidence, what you are left with is something much quieter, but far more powerful. Presence. Not the kind of presence where someone is physically there, but mentally distracted. Not the kind where someone is waiting for their turn to speak, but the kind where a person is fully there, fully aware, and fully connected in the moment with you. Presence is rare because most people are not actually present in their own lives. They are thinking about what to say next, how they are being perceived, what happened earlier, or what might happen later. Their attention is split in many directions, and when attention is divided, connection becomes shallow. You might be talking, smiling, even laughing, but something still feels slightly missing. Now compare that to someone who is fully present. When they look at you, they are actually seeing you. Not scanning, not judging, not performing, just seeing. When they listen, they are not preparing their reply. They are absorbing what you are saying. When there is silence, they are not uncomfortable with it. They are comfortable just being there in the moment without needing to fill every gap. That kind of presence changes the entire emotional experience of interaction because suddenly you don't feel like just another conversation. You feel like you matter in that moment, and that feeling is powerful. Not loud, not dramatic, but deeply grounding. For women especially, genuine presence often feels like emotional safety mixed with attention in its purest form. It is not about being chased or entertained. It is about being truly met. When a man is present, a woman does not feel like she has to compete for attention with his phone, his thoughts, or his distractions. She feels like she has his full awareness, and that creates a very natural sense of connection. But presence is not just about how you treat others. It is also about how you exist within yourself. A person who is present is not trying to escape the moment. They are not constantly seeking validation or overthinking every interaction. They are grounded in themselves. And that grounding creates a kind of emotional stability that others can feel instantly, even without words. This is why presence often feels more attractive than performance. Performance tries to impress. Presence simply exists. Performance is focused on outcome. Presence is focused on experience. And people can feel the difference immediately. Even if they cannot explain it logically, there's also a softness to presence that makes people open up naturally. When someone feels that you are fully with them, not halfway distracted, not emotionally unavailable, they begin to relax. They speak more freely. They show more of who they really are. Because presence creates trust without forcing it. And here is the deeper truth. Presence cannot be faked for long. You can copy words, you can copy confidence, you can even copy behaviors, but you cannot fake full attention and emotional grounding if it is not real. That is why presence always feels authentic when it is genuine and empty when it is not. So at the end of the day, presence is not about doing more. It is about removing noise. It is about being here fully without rushing away from the moment. And when someone truly learns how to be present, they don't just become more attractive, they become more real. And in human connection, real is what people remember the most. At the end of the day, attraction was never just about words, looks, or trying harder than everyone else. It has always been about something quieter, something deeper. The way you make someone feel when you are around them, the emotional safety you create without even realizing it, the presence you bring into a moment, the depth behind your silence, the energy behind your words. And once you start seeing it this way, relationships stop feeling like confusion and start becoming something more real, more human, more meaningful. Because the truth is, people don't remember every sentence you say, they remember how they felt in your presence. Did they feel calm or anxious, seen or ignored, safe or uncertain, understood or misunderstood? That emotional memory is what stays long after the moment is gone. So if there's one thing to take from everything we discussed today, it's this. Stop trying to force connection and start learning how to create it. Not through pressure, but through awareness. Not through performance, but through presence. Not through chasing, but through understanding. And for anyone watching this, whether you're trying to improve your relationships, understand attraction better, or simply become more emotionally aware, start paying attention to the small things. The way you listen, the way you respond, the way you show up when no one is watching you. Try